All right, so we are here to review episode 4 of The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch, and I am dressed like dragon, kind of. Except
Yeah, a little bit.
I don't have the dragon face. Um, we got some real good juicy stuff happening this episode. This was a much better episode. First of all, it was much more exciting. Whether we believe what was happening or not is completely irrelevant until we kind of get to that. But they definitely got me more excited. So I'll give it to them on that one. That overall, I'm much happier with this episode. I feel like I got a lot more stuff out of it. Um,
Yeah, there was less, I would say like less acting, more action in the sense of
right.
things actually happening. Yeah.
We started off with the human remains, and they kind of harped on that, and then uh,
God.
yeah, they just kind of they did exactly what we said we don't like, though, where they're like, "What is that?" Well, don't know. Guess that's it.
Well, here's the thing. The, that's not human remains. There was, first of all, you have this little hole where you're putting the camera through to look in to see what it is. You don't want to disturb that in the event that it actually is something significant. What's the first thing they do? They start sawing and then hitting it with a sledgehammer, and all this debris and all these bits of stone and concrete are just going all over that room and ruining whatever you were looking at. So first, you just essentially disturb the scene or whatever. Second, when they got in there, they zoomed in. It was for like a very brief moment, and it looked pretty obvious to be like a rodent, mummified rodent, like a mouse or something, a field mouse or whatever. And I worked in pest control for like 4 or 5 years, and what you'll see a lot are these like mummified, putrefied rodents, like mice, chipmunks, whatever, out in Utah. It might be something else, but it looked like a mouse carcass that was, I guess, died in there from maybe rat poison or just got stuck in there. Who knows? And when you get into like an area like that, you'll see it a lot inside when they get stuck in walls or a confined area. It'll just sort of like decompose at various rates. So this skin will molt off, the hair will kind of come off, and it'll just kind of circle around. And then they mentioned like the gnawing and the chewing. It's entirely possible another thing got in there, ate on the body, and then left whatever it didn't want and moved on. Because,
Right.
bats, mice, whatever, they can usually get in through holes that are super small. So them going on and on about like, what could this be? It looks like a burn area. It's just a dead mouse body, more than likely. So I don't know why you're making it into this whole big thing with like a advanced, microscope and them talking about like blood and look at that looks like mummified, perfectly preserved flesh. No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
it looks it looks like a dead mouse
Would you call
body.
that blood? Does that look like blood?
I don't know. It's just like they must have really, when they were filming at that point, had nothing to grasp at. It was probably in between, like they definitely plan all this stuff when they have like all their experts come out. So there's probably dead zones in between these times they're filming, and they need to fill it with something that really could be a hit or miss. And I think this was a major miss.
Oh, and
So
my favorite is they just go somebody or something. That is my like least favorite phrase. You know what I mean? Just like somebody or something. What thing? What are you trying to include? Like, what are you inferring at here? And
yeah,
and I like that they talk about Homestead One, all the creepy things. I like that they got into that a little more, but they just kind of like stopped there. And then again, well, we don't know the mystery. I don't know. I'm not in the editing room, but I felt like this episode had so much juice in it that like I don't know, you had enough to talk about in this episode.
yeah,
Now
yeah.
there's a lot going on, so I won't harp into that too much. Also, I'm starting to realize words that I say a lot. Harp has become. If we could have the harp counter, you know what I mean, a little harp noise every time I say that. I don't want to go into that topic too much, but of course they do that. It's just another mystery. I like that we're bringing in the cattle. And now they're finally talking about, because for so long they kept saying cattle mutilations, cattle mutilations. They finally brought up what's the big deal about it, that it's a precise cattle mutilation. Surgical procedures, it looks like, are being done, some in broad daylight. And they say, oh, what Mr. Bigelow had found out is locked away and we can't, and it's confidential. I'm like,
They keep bringing that up
is it
every
though?
time. Like, okay, when we mentioned in the first review that the government somehow got involved with NIDS in
Right.
the early to mid 2000s, maybe closer to 2010 era. Okay, if the government's involved, obviously it's classified. If it's NIDS, which was Bigelow's, group he formed about it, him and Fugel are supposedly like really close buds and like friends, and he sold it to him. Why would you keep that confidential unless they had some sort of agreement with the government? Who knows? But
Right.
the fact that they just keep bringing up why it's that it's confidential, that it's classified. Well, why? You're just saying that. You're not giving a reasoning for it. It's just another thing to kind of like add unnecessary mystery when you could just shed light on it right at the start.
Right.
It's another one of those things where you're just kind of keeping people baited along. And obviously, it's a tactic for reality show or
Right.
whatever you want to constitute the show as, because it's not reality, but it's investigation reality, I guess. And
Right.
that's just another thing that bugs me about it, is that you have the opportunity to explain why it's this, but you don't. And so it's just another like, okay, I guess I'll just sit here like an idiot and wait, and maybe you'll explain it down the road, or maybe not.
Right. And that's like you said, it's too much of that just sort of stringing us along, and we can't get. Has anyone tried to contact Mr. Bigelow? You know what I mean? Can we not talk with him at all?
I mean, I don't know. He obviously sold it for some reason, so maybe it's more than maybe they'll unveil that, later on out of
Right.
the blue for no particular reason, and then just go with it.
Well, I would be surprised if Frugal's also calling the shots too, because he's also listed as an executive producer on this, and I wouldn't be surprised if that's some of his money. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's like, yeah, just talk about that for
Are
a little
you
bit.
calling him frugal intentionally?
Yes, Mr.
Okay.
Frugal. The what's it called? They had a fucking dog running around there, and now I didn't know if that was the dog that the ranchers brought in, or if that's a dog that lives on Skinwalker Ranch. And I'm just like, anyone ever tried to surgically attack that dog, or like, is it just the cows?
I
Um,
think it's just the cows, yeah. I don't know. I
yeah,
mean, another thing you just don't really kind of, I don't know, there's all these elements kind of going on where you don't quite seem to kind of get into it that much. Like there's these jump in times where it'll say like the end of May, then 2 weeks later. So I
yeah,
guess it's obvious that they're doing nothing for 2 weeks or nothing of significance happens. It's just kind of strange. I don't know. It's odd that they just have these big time jumps. It's obvious that they're setting up these points when these people come in with their drones or their rockets or their weather balloons. I'm just curious what they're doing in the meantime there, because is it one of those situations where everyone's living there or residing close by, or is it like a Bear Grylls scenario where it's like, whoa, we've been here, but I'm actually at this hotel like 30
right,
miles down the road. So I don't know. It's just one of those things where it might take away a little bit more from it, and I just want to know what's going on with that, because again, if you want to make the show really good, you want to kind of have them all embedded there, the camera crew, the talent, obviously the scientists and everyone there all the time, so that they can encounter on a day by day basis of things going on, rather than just, okay, set time is 8 o'clock today, we're going to launch some rockets for 3 hours, that's a wrap, people, all right, we'll see you next week.
right.
Like, yeah. So
Well, and then they also did the thing too where they started to finally tell this great story, and then they just stopped. They didn't give me anything more. They're talking about one of the Sherman stories. There's a Sherman story where the cattle went missing, broad daylight, and then they were found inside like a trailer or something. And when he went in
all
there,
of them, yeah, all of them hunkered in.
and they were completely catatonic. I'm not smart. What does catatonic mean?
I think it's like they're like lethargic. They're just kind of like zoned out, I think. I'm not too sure, but I remember hearing that story from the bedtime story video. I'm pretty sure they touched on that. So really, if you want to get some real answers, you're going to have to go beyond this show, because it's clearly not doing a great job of, they're just kind of giving you the point of things. You want the full, story behind it. You'll have to go out and do it yourself and look it up, because the
Right.
show's not really doing a great job of filling in the blanks all that much. But
Yeah. Why?
speaking of the
Yeah. Yeah.
cattle,
Yeah.
when they started talking about how the cattle was acting weird, I don't know. I don't know if I missed something, but it didn't really seem like they were acting all that strange.
Look, the cattle are all go. You mean cows are getting aggressive and getting in a
The
group?
cows cows are getting in a group and moving from one area of the field to the next, especially when you guys are launching rockets 40 feet away from them. I don't know. Was that? I feel like you launch a rocket that's loud, you know, is making a lot of noise, making a stream. The cows are going to get spooked by that, and then when they see you're preparing a second one, any half smart cow will be like, "Move away." That's
Yeah,
what I think,
yeah.
rather than, "Oh, look up in the sky, it's a little tiny dot. Let's all flee from that." I don't know. It's
Well, I do have thoughts
again,
about that, but I'm like, also, why are we having like? They're like, this is the intern. I'm like, why is the intern here? Like, what you
he
didn't?
brought the rockets.
Yeah, but I was laughing. I was like, no, but like, why? Why do we have the intern? Is there no one at a higher qualification?
I don't know. I mean, like you don't really. If you're just launching rockets, I guess it just gives an opportunity for a student who's going to the same school, being taught by what's his name, hero scientist. That's my
Oh my
nickname
god,
for
that
him.
guy is his role is way too silly. There's times he does things I'm like, okay, that's legitimate. There's other times I just like I don't know. I feel like he's just like I think he's just being silly. Like sometimes I can see his
Yeah,
face. I feel like he's holding in
it's
like
the over.
laughter.
It's the over. It's the overacting. It's just the like the setup of I'm here to lead you guys. I'm the outside guy, gonna get everyone straight. We're gonna solve
Right.
this mystery. Come on, gang, let's do this.
The
So
so okay, yeah, the cows were acting. They were all agitated. Now they get the second rocket up. Now what first of all they have to go looking for the second rocket, the first rocket. I'm like, what's the matter? Like we didn't have another one ready to go. Like they were pissed about looking for that first rocket. Now I get it. You want to get the radio wave reading from in there, but when they saw that bright light in the sky, I got thrown off again. Now, granted, this one I'll still give it to them and I'll tell you why. I believe that they saw something in the sky, an actual UFO, and let's clear up what a UFO is. And it's an unidentified flying object. It's an object that flies in the sky, and we don't know what it is. We don't call it aliens. We don't call it anything. It's just something in the sky, and we don't know what the fuck it is. I'll give it to them. I think they saw a UFO. What bothered me though a little bit was like the camera went to zoom into it in the sky, and then they just cut to another camera that was already looking at it, and they're like, it disappeared. And it just looked like they shook the camera. Now, but then when they
yeah.
did review the footage later and they had a picture, I'm like, okay, so you guys did have something. It was a little weird. It was following that plane, and they didn't like try. I'm like, is there any way you could find out what plane that was flying over? Can you contact with the pilots?
Well, they had no. I mean, they have the tracking thing in the command center, and the guy mentioned that it was a commercial airliner, but they don't have. They didn't see anything
Okay,
else on that. So
okay,
yeah,
right. So yeah,
I mean,
okay, yeah.
yeah, it makes sense technically. Yes, they did see a UFO, or as I think his name's Travis was calling it, an UFO,
Oh, he
and
kept,
I'm
yeah,
like,
what's on
come
UFO? I'm
on.
like, dude,
Like, are you kidding me? Again, I think that's just like you mentioned, him just being silly
yeah,
or stupid. I don't know. It just, again, it's just making you sound dumber,
right.
in my opinion. But uh, where was I going with that? Yeah, I mean, it's technically a UFO, and I don't know. Again, it just seems like they're jumping to creating these correlations between things where it's like we were launching rockets up in the sky and it shows up.
Oh,
That
they're
must
like, we'll
mean
bait him in. We'll bait him in with a second one. I'm
they're
like,
talking about like you can't dig. Well, now we're digging up into the sky and creating holes, and they don't like that. It's just like what?
yeah. I'm like, okay, I get it. You got the radiation again. You saw the thing, and then all of a sudden, Dragon, oh no, my blood pressure and my heart rate. Like, did Dragon have a salty breakfast?
The guy was clearly like getting excited. He keeps talking about how he'd been there for X amount of years or whatever amount of time, and he
Yeah.
had never seen anything, and now he is. So obviously, you're gonna be excited and a little agitated. So I would think that's where these. It looked like his heart rate was 104, which I mean, I don't think that's anything crazy if you're active, especially in the desert.
Right.
I think you would have a better idea about that, but um, it didn't seem all that crazy as far as his heart rate or anything or through the roof. Um, so again, it's just more of convenient. Like, oh, I'm not feeling too good right now, guys. We're in a lull of things, and I'm all of a sudden not feeling too good. Oh, but actually, once we're done with this segment, I feel fine.
Right.
So
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah,
No. We don't check that one out. Um, now, what I will say to this scene, what I liked about it, it was a successful scientific experiment. Something flew overhead. We don't know what it was. We shot something up into the sky, and we got some radio waves.
yeah,
Now, I liked that. Now, when they went back to analyze the data, okay, I liked it. I didn't feel like there was anything fake. They're looking at the pictures of it, so I felt like it was credible. But the thing that kind of bothered me, and I'm skipping over like a bit of the plot here, but something that bothered me was at one point the episode's ending, and he says, there was always rumors from Robert Bigelow that there was an interdimensional portal here, and maybe this is proof of it. And I'm like, did you just go from something in the sky to interdimensional portal?
Well, again, that's another one of the things that they did not establish where they should have in the first part, because that's another theory about this whole place is aside from like UFOs, they think it's all situated around this idea of almost like a Bermuda Triangle kind of scenario where this specific area, I don't know, portals or rifts or openings to another dimension or another whatever is present here. And if you go and look up the stuff yourself, you'll see that the NIDS team supposedly encountered seeing a portal open and watching things come in and out like flying objects or weird figures or something like that. So it's just one of those things that they did take it and bring it up. What is it? The fourth episode in, completely out of the blue. And you're just sort of like, if you only know a little bit about it, or you're just kind of jumping into this cold and you're just curious from this show only, you're going to be like, what are you guys talking about? Where's this coming from? And so again, it's another thing where they're not really giving people who are hopping on a good introduction to kind of get them going. It's just kind of drip feeding and out of context stuff and
It's
just
ADD.
disjointed. Yeah,
like
exactly.
Brandon Frugal didn't. Fucking Brandon
Frugal.
Brandon Fogel. Brandon saying he saw a UFO, and he's like, yeah, it was a 50-foot craft, and then they just had that picture. I'm like, oh, can I get some context? Was that the real picture? Did we just sort of make a graphic image for me to get an idea? Like, I'll believe it. I think this guy's genuinely interested, and I can believe seeing like a 50-foot craft there. You know what I mean? But like, was that just a graphic image? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just they're kind of not really giving people a baseline of, is this what they're talking about? Is what I'm seeing right now? Or are you guys talking about something that was brought up before? Or what should I know? It's too disjointed, and I think it's kind of suffering because of that.
If you could make this show real fucking creepy. It could get real creepy. You could go out and like not with lights, like go out in the dark with these like GoPro cameras, kind of like they have these like survival shows where guys go out in the wilderness and they're trying to survive, and they've got the night vision and they can't sleep. You know what I mean? Like, to me, if you're gonna go all out to make this thing spooky, I mean, like, spook the hell out of me. You know what I mean? Go places where it shouldn't. Like, and now I get it. Okay, we got to have a plot, we got to have scientific experiments, but I think you could make this like really creepy.
There's a lot of shows you can really draw style from that I think would work. Like there was one on Sci-Fi Channel, Expedition Unknown, I believe was the name of it. And it was a team of like 5 or 6 guys led by this one guy who's now got his own show, I think on Discovery, where he looks for like different hidden gold and stuff like that. And it's just like the camera crew is involved. So like the sound guy, the camera, second camera, tech guy, they're part of the crew in addition to these like investigators. So it might be like a team of like 8 to 10. And so everyone's involved, and everything they're filming is what's happening. It's none of this setup stuff.
Right.
And I think you could it's like you're embedded with them. And I think you could really translate that style and kind of mix it with what they have here. And the show would be a lot more involving and engaging. But again, I think it's this thing where they're just kind of setting up these experiments a week or 2 weeks between each other, and there's really just nothing else going on. Being that the Shermans were there, I think from like 94 to the early 2000s, they did encounter stuff, but it wasn't, to my understanding, like a day-by-day basis. So obviously You're not. So they're taking these small endeavors and stretching them out, I think. And they're really trying to grasp at straws as far as like this mouse carcass. And, the laser pointer died because it overheated, or did it? So I think they're breaking. I don't think it's because they're, in between filming, obviously, but they're coming back. They said like the 5th of May.
Right.
So looks like they're probably taking a break to try and line it up with another show because I think the Curse of Oak Island's ending this season or is
Right.
already finished next week or who knows. But hopefully, as we get closer to the end of the season, things will kind of get a little more interesting. Like you said, I think this episode was the first one that really kind of got a little bit more involving and a lot less eye rolling to some
Yeah.
extent. So hopefully things get a little nicer and come season two, assuming there is one, they kind of really move away from this reality and get closer to let's actually do stuff here.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be, and that's what would be good. It would be good to get a little bit more structured. And like I said, I talked about reaching out to them. I might have to, reach out to the people over at Bedtime Stories and see if they have like an email or something. And if we get someone who could just talk about Skinwalker Ranch because it's not, we don't have it would be nice to get more information on these things and bring more out.
Just watch the video. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're not gonna
Oh, you don't know
come
that.
on. Uh, just watch the video. It's a two-part. It's really involved. It's really covered. You can do all this stuff. I think there's a couple books that
Right.
were written on it. There was a documentary I think made during the time that Bigelow had the ranch. So you can go out there and watch some stuff that's a little bit more, you know, linear
Because
and less
doesn't the Bob
dragged
Lazar
out.
story cross over into this too?
I don't think so.
I thought he had talked about something with Skinwalker Ranch, or Skinwalker Ranch got brought up when the Bob Lazar stuff started to come more into public.
It's possible. I mean, they're kind of close, not really, but I'm sure at some point something crossed over somehow. But
Right.
that's a whole different thing with Bob Lazar.
No, yeah, I know that. That's a whole other thing. But yeah, well, I guess it's good we kept this review a little tighter here.
Yeah,
But
there is
yes.
one thing I forgot to mention that I thought was kind of odd. They brought it up. They were talking about the gamma radiation up top,
Oh yeah.
like the mile up. They were saying how as you get further away from the Earth, gamma radiation is supposed to drop. I don't think that's the case. I think that's the exact opposite because the primary source of gamma radiation is supposed to be cosmic rays and cosmic radiation,
Right.
which is caused by like stars and quasars and things like that. So, if anything, as you go up, you should sense more, but it's not like a residual thing that's always there. But I don't know. That just seemed like a thing that they just kind of randomly threw in there to kind of bring this whole idea that after they launched all those rockets, oh, the radiation's up there is abnormal. I don't know. It just seemed very kind of quickly like, we're not explain why. It just is.
Right. Just
And
thrown
so,
just
yeah,
thrown together.
throw it in there to kind of add more mystique and mystery to it when it's really just, data, give me a baseline for it. But anyway, I digress. That was the one thing I forgot to mention, but that was when they said it, I immediately was like, really? Is that the case? And actually looked it up. If you want to read more, they have a whole page about it on NASA's website about gamma rays, sources, how you can study it, what are people doing to read it and identify it. So
Right.
they talk a lot about it being out in space. There's obviously stuff for it on Earth, but it's more of like decaying. I think potassium decay causes gamma of some kind. Um, but other than that, again, another thing
It's
where it's
coming
like,
from off planet. It's got to be from an alien craft that's shooting it down.
I don't know. Again, uh, the radiation up there, from what they're saying, is like standing next to an open microwave. So just hop in that helicopter, go up there if you really want to answer that question once and for all.
Yeah. We did get we did get a little I don't know if you paid attention to our channel here, but we did get some fan mail on let's see. Someone was unhappy with what we said. Someone said on our last review, they said he came out there to talk to them, make sure time was all right. It just happened the night before. Shark Tank style pit. I don't know. Someone got really mad. He goes, the point of Skinwalker Ranch is to find out what's going on. It never does. And now there's like a team going in. He goes, what would you do different than the scientists? You guys should maybe watch one or two of the episodes before you do a show. I was just, I don't know if that guy was yelling at me or not or what, but
It
I
could have been
was
a
like,
reply to a comment. Who who cares?
Yeah,
Honestly,
but
you know,
I'm laughing. I'm like, I'm not, I don't know. I'm just, I didn't think
ev-
I didn't think I could bother you with a review of a History Channel show.
every everyone's entitled to their own opinion, so eat to each their own, whatever. But yeah, I mean, I'll say for a fact if that was directed towards us or whatever, we've watched every episode,
Hey, and
and
shout out to Steven Denham. I don't know who, he's been like following us on everything. So, thanks for being our number one fan. I mean, as soon as we put up a video, he's just like, this is awesome, great stuff, and he's like totally into it. So, thank you, Steven Denham, for following us on this journey.
yeah. Well, it looks like there'll be a little bit of break. What are we right now? The 22nd, so it's
Yeah, so
about
they're
2 weeks.
they're so
So
they're coming back on the 5th of May.
I think they said the 5th. Yeah,
Cinco de Mayonnaise, interesting.
yeah. Lands on Taco Tuesday, but obviously everyone's going to be at home this year anyway. So.
Yeah, exactly. So Taco Tuesday will have to be at home with the Taco Bell delivery.
Oh boy.
Um, well, got anything else, or shall I wrap this bad boy up?
That's it. I guess we'll be back come early May for the 6th episode or fifth episode, whichever episode they're on.
The fifth episode
On Cinco de Mayo.
on Cinco de
or
Mayo, Taco
Yeah.
Tuesday. Well, thanks y'all for watching. Catch you on the next one.